English Easy Podcast.
Hello, learners. Welcome back to English Easy Podcast, your partner to learning English. I actually have to confess something a little bit embarrassing before we start our deep dive today.
Oh no, what happened?
Well, last night, I spent a solid 30 minutes looking for my phone. I was tearing my entire living room apart.
Oh, we've all been there.
Right. I checked my bag, found nothing. I checked the kitchen table, moving all the mail around. Nothing.
It's so frustrating when that happens.
It really is. I was digging into the couch cushions, just getting completely frustrated and, frankly, a little panicked. And then I looked down. Guess where it was?
Don't tell me. In your hand.
Right in my hand. I was literally holding my phone, using the flashlight on the phone to look for the phone.
That is amazing.
It's a perfect example of a funny, slightly ridiculous mistake that, often happens. And honestly, it might happen to absolutely anyone.
It is surprisingly common, actually. Your brain just completely filters out what's right in front of you.
Oh.
And it perfectly captures the linguistic phenomenon we're unpacking today. Sometimes the exact tool you're looking for to sound more fluent or, more professional or natural is already right there in your hand. You just don't realize its power.
That is a great point. So today we're going on a deep dive into 4 small, incredibly common words that you probably already know.
Exactly, but you probably aren't fully leveraging them. Those words are may, might, perhaps, and often.
So on the surface, these 4 words seem almost too basic. Like if I'm an intermediate learner or a young professional trying to sound sharp in a meeting,
right,
my first instinct isn't to focus on a tiny word like may. I'm usually hunting for some impressive 5-syllable vocabulary word to make me sound smart. So why are we focusing our energy here?
Because, true fluency isn't a vocabulary contest. It's really about command and nuance.
Ah, command and nuance. I like that.
Yeah, when you master these specific, smaller words, you stop sounding like a textbook, translating thoughts word for word.
Right, you start sounding like someone who actually owns the language.
Yeah. Spot on. Our mission today is to show you the psychological weight behind these words, because they control pacing, they soften bad news, and they project quiet confidence.
That makes a lot of sense. It's about strategy, not just grammar.
Exactly. We're going to build a narrative today based on escalating communication stakes. We'll start with how we express our own internal uncertainty, then move to how we project that professionally.
And finally, how we communicate our reliable patterns. And to you listening right now, wherever you are, whether you're commuting or at your desk or walking the dog, we want you to actively participate.
Yes, please do.
Treat this as a high-level shadowing exercise.
Yeah.
We're going to ask you to literally map the rhythm of our speech, speak out loud, and join us as the third person in this conversation.
We're treating you as a peer in this discussion. So let's look at the baseline of all human interaction, trying to figure out what's going to happen next, expressing possibility.
Right. And for that, we have 2 classic contenders, may and might. Textbooks just love to drill these into us. Let's start with may.
Good place to start. The standard rule is that may shows something has a realistic chance of happening.
Like if the sky is totally gray and the wind is blowing, I'd say, it may rain today.
Perfect example.
Yeah.
Or if a colleague is wrapping up a project, you could say, she may join us for the meeting later. It's a solid 50-50 possibility.
It's a very grounded assessment of reality.
It is. And historically, it carries a sense of permission, which is why it feels a bit elevated. You hear this from kids asking teachers, may I use the restroom? Or informal customer service, like, how may I help you?
Okay, so may is possibility with a touch of formality. But here's where my brain always short circuits. And I know listeners feel this too. We also have might.
Ah, yes, the classic dilemma.
Right. Textbooks claim might is for a smaller, weaker possibility. But I want to push back on this a little, because putting myself in the shoes of someone trying to hold a fast-paced conversation, isn't this just academic hair splitting?
It really is.
Like, if it may happen and it might happen, both basically mean I don't know, why should I freeze up mid-sentence trying to calculate the exact mathematical probability of the event?
You absolutely shouldn't. And you've just hit on the biggest secret that native speakers know, but language curricula rarely teach.
Oh, do tell.
In real, everyday life, native speakers use may and might almost interchangeably when talking about possibility.
Wait, really? So this strict rule about might being a weaker possibility is practically ignored on the street.
On the street, in the office, at the dinner table, yes, totally ignored. If you say to a friend, I may go out tonight or I might go out tonight, their brain registers the exact same level of commitment.
Wow, that is a massive relief.
Yeah. The crucial confidence tip for you listening right now is stop calculating. Mixing them up occasionally isn't just fine. It's what native speakers do naturally. When you stress over the micro differences, you just block your flow.
Okay, but let's add some texture to this. Are there any situations where one is actually better than the other? Like casual versus formal contexts, maybe.
That's where the real nuance lies. While the meaning is essentially the same, the posture of the words is slightly different. May generally sits up a little straighter.
Sits up straighter, I like that image.
Yeah, so if you're drafting a formal email to a client you've never met saying, we may need an extension on this deadline, sounds slightly more polished and decisive.
And might.
Might feels a little more casual, a little softer. If you're texting a coworker on a Friday afternoon about a happy hour saying, I might drop by later, feels completely relaxed.
Okay, let's put this into a concrete, real-world business scenario. Let's say I'm an intermediate learner working my first corporate job.
Okay, setting the scene.
And my manager asks me if the quarterly report will be ready by 5 p.m. I'm not totally sure because, I'm waiting on data from another team. How do I use this?
Well, you have two great options that protect you. If you want to project a bit more formal confidence, you say, I may have it ready, but I'm waiting on the final numbers.
Right, leaning forward a bit.
Exactly. But if you want to lower expectations just slightly so they aren't disappointed, you use the softer option. I might have it ready by 5, but it depends on the data team.
Got it.
Both are grammatically flawless. Both are professional. It just depends on whether you want to lean forward or lean back.
I really like that framing. May leans forward, might leans back. But neither of them is wrong. So mixing up may and might won't ruin a casual text or a standard update.
Not at all.
But what happens when the stakes are higher? When you're not just reporting a status, but you're trying to push back on a bad idea in a boardroom without sounding aggressive.
That's the perfect transition. When the stakes escalate, we need to upgrade how we project our uncertainty professionally to others. We need to look at the word perhaps.
Yes, I'm so glad we're tackling this because I notice a distinct pattern.
What's that?
A lot of learners and even native speakers who lack confidence rely exclusively on the word maybe.
Oh, absolutely.
They'll say, maybe we should delay the launch. Maybe the client didn't see the email. Maybe we can try a different strategy. And honestly, when I hear someone say maybe 5 times in a meeting, they start to sound a bit like a hesitant intern asking for permission to speak.
It's true, because maybe is actually a compound of it may be. Over centuries, it got mashed together into a very casual, colloquial tool.
Right.
It's incredibly useful, but it lacks gravity. If maybe is the only tool in your communication toolbox, your professional vocabulary feels stunted. Perhaps means the exact same thing, but sociolinguistically, it carries a totally different weight.
It signals deliberate, measured consideration.
Exactly. It signals leadership.
Let me offer an analogy to the listener to help visualize this difference. Imagine the word maybe is like wearing a clean, comfortable cotton t-shirt.
Okay, nice visual.
It's totally fine for everyday speech. It's great for hanging out.
Yeah.
But saying perhaps is like slipping on a beautifully tailored blazer over that t-shirt. It instantly elevates your posture.
Oh, that is the perfect analogy.
It smooths out your edges. It makes the people around you sit up and take your suggestion a little more seriously.
The core person underneath, the actual meaning, hasn't changed. But the impression you leave is dramatically elevated. Let's look at the mechanics of why it works in a tense environment.
Let's do it.
Say you're in a meeting, tensions are high, and the current strategy is failing. If you interject with, maybe we're looking at this wrong, it sounds like you're guessing, it sounds defensive.
Yeah, it does.
But if you pause, lower your voice slightly, and say, perhaps we're looking at this wrong, it forces the room to stop. It sounds like an insight, not a guess.
Perhaps we're looking at this wrong.
Wow.
You can actually feel the shift in power dynamics just by swapping 2 syllables. It softens the pushback while somehow maintaining total authority.
It really does. And it works for softening critiques of others, too. Instead of saying, maybe he forgot to send the attachment, which sounds a bit accusatory, you say,
perhaps he forgot to send the attachment. It gives them the benefit of the doubt in a very dignified way.
Exactly. Or if a client is angry about a misunderstanding, instead of a defensive, maybe we didn't explain it well, you pivot to a tailored blazer approach. Perhaps there was a miscommunication on our end. It absorbs the tension beautifully.
Listener, I want you to mentally highlight this word. Tomorrow, when you are at work or writing an email to a professor and you catch yourself typing maybe, hit the backspace key.
Yes, try reaching for that tailored blazer.
Type perhaps and watch how it changes the entire tone of your sentence. All right, so we've covered internal possibility and we've covered projecting professional suggestions. Now we need to transition from discussing isolated events to discussing reliable patterns.
Which brings us to our fourth word, often.
Yes, often is the workhorse of daily conversation. We use it constantly because human beings are creatures of habit.
We really are. We are always explaining our routines, our schedules, and how frequently we do things. But there is a very specific mechanical rule about where this word lives in an English sentence.
And it's a place where I see smart, capable learners stumble constantly.
The placement issue. The golden rule in English is that adverbs of frequency, like often, usually act as a bridge. They go right before the main verb.
So I want to talk about my morning routine. I say, I often drink coffee in the morning. The main action is drink, so often has to go right before it. I often drink.
Right, and the mistake we hear all the time is placing it after the object. Someone will say, I drink often coffee, or I read often books.
Which sounds a bit off. Let's explain the why behind this. Why does that sound so strange to a native speaker?
Well, English is a stress-timed language. It relies heavily on rhythm. Adverbs like often act as a phonetic runway leading up to the action verb. They build the anticipation.
I love that image. It's a runway. So if I say I often, the listener's brain is naturally leaning forward, waiting for the action to land. I often run. I often read.
Precisely. If you place it after the verb, I drink often coffee, you've basically dropped a speed bump in the middle of the runway. The native listener's brain actually trips over it. The sentence loses its momentum.
Okay, let's build that momentum right now. It's time for some active rhythm mapping.
This is the fun part.
Listener, we're going to do a dedicated speech speed and pronunciation exercise. I'm going to say a sentence slowly, focusing on the mechanics. Then I'll say it at a natural fluid speed.
And after that, you will hear a pause. Do not just listen. I want you to speak out loud and physically shadow the pacing. Feel the runway. Feel the tailored blazer.
Ready? Here's our first sentence, focusing on the forward lean of may. I may go shopping later.
Oh.
I may go shopping later. Pause.
Good. Notice how the may just glides directly into the verb go. No hesitation.
Let's try leaning back with a casual might. I might call my friend tonight. Pause.
Great. You should feel your jaw relax a bit on might. Now, let's put on the tailored blazer. Let's project that calm, professional authority.
Perhaps we should wait a little longer. Pause.
Did you feel the posture change there? It practically forces you to sound more mature.
Finally, let's practice the runway for our patterns. Remember, often comes right before the verb. I often wake up early. Pause.
Excellent work. This isn't just about repetition. It's about muscle memory. The more you physically navigate these rhythms, the less your brain has to scramble to translate them in real time.
So, to really prove how this works, let's take off the training wheels. We're going to do an off-the-cuff conversation simulation. No stilted, robotic textbook dialogue. Let's actually argue a little bit.
I'm ready. Let's do this.
Let's imagine we're trying to plan a weekend trip together, and we have totally different ideas. Listener, I want you to pay attention to how we weave these four words together to negotiate without fighting.
I'm game. Let's hash this out. So where are we going this weekend?
Look, it's been a crazy week. Perhaps we should just rent a cabin somewhere quiet. Nothing crazy, just rest.
Well, we may do that, but honestly, I was hoping for something more active. We could hit the city.
The city. That sounds exhausting. Plus, it might rain all weekend, and walking around a wet city is miserable.
Fair point. We do often get stuck in the rain when we go to the city. Okay, the cabin it is.
End scene. Okay, let's break down the psychology of what just happened there. It was a disagreement, but it didn't feel hostile. Why?
Because of the words we chose to soften the blows. You didn't demand a cabin. You used the tailored blazer. Perhaps we should rent a cabin. It's a suggestion wrapped in a velvet glove. It allowed me to hear your idea without feeling bossed around.
Right, and your counteroffer used that forward-leaning possibility. We may do that, but you validated my idea before introducing your city idea.
Exactly.
And then I pushed back using the softer, cautious possibility. It might rain. It's so much less aggressive than saying, it is going to rain, your idea is bad.
Yes. And I conceded the argument by acknowledging a historical pattern using our runway word. We often get stuck in the rain. The rhythm of the sentence acknowledged the reality of your point.
So by layering these words, often, we negotiated a conflict while preserving the relationship.
That is the ultimate goal of fluency, controlling the emotional temperature of a conversation. It shows that you have command over the language rather than the language having command over you.
So now it is time to put our listener in the hot seat. We are going to test your instincts with an interactive quiz.
Get ready.
We'll give you a real-world scenario. I'll ask you a question, and during the pause, I want you to speak your answer out loud, filling in the blanks with our target words. Don't overthink it, just trust your gut.
Scenario 1. You're at a busy restaurant waiting for a friend. They're 20 minutes late.
Classic. Another friend at the table looks at you and asks, where is he? What are 3 natural ways you can guess his location? Using may, might, and perhaps? Say them out loud now. Pause.
Okay, let's check your instincts. If you use the forward-leaning possibility, you could say, he may be stuck at the office.
Or if you use the softer, more casual possibility, he might be looking for parking.
And if you want it to sound a bit more polished or thoughtful, perhaps he got the time wrong.
All 3 are fantastic. He may be stuck, he might be parking, perhaps he forgot. Notice how none of those require a complex vocabulary. They just require the right posture. Let's try one more.
Scenario 2. This one is about emotional support.
Okay, so a junior colleague of yours is terrified before presenting to the executive team. They are pacing the room, looking at you, and they say, I'm not ready for this. I'm going to mess this up. How can you calm them down and encourage them using may or perhaps? Say it out loud. Pause.
This is where language becomes incredibly powerful. You could have steadied them by saying, you may know this material better than anyone else here.
That's strong.
Or using that calm authority, perhaps you're just letting the nerves talk.
Oh, perhaps you're just letting the nerves talk.
Sure.
I literally feel my shoulders drop when I hear that. If you compare that to the casual alternative, maybe you're just nervous, the difference is staggering.
It really is. Maybe sounds dismissive, like you don't really care. Perhaps sounds like you are a wise mentor giving them profound perspective.
It's all about empathy. This connects to a much broader confidence tip for our learners. Real-life English isn't a test of how many syllables you can string together. It is an emotional exchange.
You are sharing feelings, managing expectations, and offering support. Using simple words beautifully, correctly, and appropriately is the absolute hallmark of an advanced speaker. It is infinitely more impressive than misusing a complicated jargon word just to sound smart.
I completely agree. The most articulate people I know don't use the biggest words. They use the right words for the right moment. And these 4 little words give you immense control over those moments. Let's do a quick strategic recap to lock this into your long-term memory. We unpacked 4 specific tools today. First, may.
It signals grounded possibility, and it leans slightly forward with a touch of formal confidence.
Second, might. It also signals possibility, but it leans slightly backward. It's a bit softer, a bit more casual.
But remember the native speaker's secret. Don't paralyze yourself trying to calculate the difference. In the real world, they are incredibly interchangeable.
Third, perhaps. This is your tailored blazer. It's the sophisticated upgrade to the casual maybe. Use it in the boardroom, in professional emails, or whenever you want your suggestions to carry mature, measured weight.
And fourth, often. The word that establishes our patterns. And remember the golden rule of the runway. It needs to go right before the main action verb to keep the rhythm of the sentence intact. I often practice, not I practice often.
As we wrap up this deep dive, I want to offer a bit of encouragement. Fluency isn't a switch you flip, it's a muscle you build. You aren't going to be perfect tomorrow.
Absolutely not. You may stumble over the runway rule sometimes. You might feel frustrated when a sentence doesn't land exactly how it sounded in your head.
And perhaps your progress will feel plateaued on certain weeks.
That's just the nature of learning.
Yeah.
But if you keep speaking out loud, if you keep shadow practicing the rhythm, the language will eventually submit to you. The key is to refuse to stay silent.
Before we go, I want to leave you with a final provocative thought to mull over. The next time you are watching a movie in English, or you find yourself in a meeting listening to a native speaker, I challenge you to shift your focus. Stop frantically trying to decode the big, difficult industry jargon you don't know.
Yes. Ignore the complex slang for a moment.
Instead, look at the architecture of their sentences. Pay close attention to how they wield the tiny words. Listen for the mays, the mights, and the perhapses. Ask yourself how much of their personality, their mood, and their authority is actually hiding in those tiny, easy-to-ignore words.
You might be completely surprised by what you discover.
Because just like that phone I spent 30 agonizing minutes looking for in my living room, sometimes the secret to sounding totally fluent and natural in English isn't hiding out there in some thick, intimidating textbook. Sometimes the exact words you need to command a room are already right there in your hand. Keep practicing your rhythms, keep speaking up, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.